Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today I'm going to talk to you about Married at First Sight, season 18, Chicago, episode 7. It's called The Basement Blues. You know what? Let me go ahead and say the Basement Blues, the Married at First Sight Chicago Blues. It's giving me the blues because we got too many people on here complaining about their spouses already. It hadn't even started off for that many episodes yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's the people's blues. That's just me. But anyways, if you're new here, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And if you're A1 Day Ones or came along the way, thank you so much. I appreciate you too. Everyone, don't forget to hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And engage. Leave me your comments. Let me know what you think about these couples, whether they're going to make it. I mean, I'm leaning on out of 5 couples, 4 out of 5. But if the 5th couple, who I think might make it, keeps talking about some swag, maybe another bust of a season, but that's just me. We'll have to see. Okay, so thank you for joining. I'm not going to keep you too long. We're just going to get to really the cliff notes of what happened on Married at First Sight, because once again, in my opinion, it's only giving like filler episodes. Nothing really is happening. I know they just came back from the honeymoons, but the honeymoons were dry. Okay, we just got a whole bunch of Michelle and David, how much she don't care for his attitude, not his attitude. She don't care for his cussing. She don't care for him living with his mom and them. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not independent for her. Like she's Miss High and Mighty. And then we got Madison just, she's playing nice, nasty, but she's part of the Mean Girl Club, her and Michelle. She don't care for Allen either, but you know what? We're just gonna go ahead, jump into the episode. So the experts came to check in on the couples to try to give them direction about going forward and to see if they've really talked about anything that was, life stuff that you would talk about with the partner you've had for a while, just if they talk about the future, I should say. And we get to see the couples go individually to see where they live, to see how they've been living before they decide to come together to see if maybe we're going to share space together. All right. So we're just going to start with Madison and Allen. And I mean, I don't have to put their pictures up anymore by now. Hopefully, you know who the couples are and what they look like. So, all right. So we pick back up with this couple from last week. And, again, they came back from the honeymoons and it's the first night in the shared apartment. But Madison decided she's going to go out and kick it with her friends because you know what? She was overwhelmed with the entire process. She needed to, have a girls' night to woosah because she's just not feeling Allen. Let's just keep it all the way real. She's not feeling Allen, okay? And she just wants to, get back into groove of things as if she's still living the single life. Okay. You're not, girl. You signed up for the show. You married. Check your ring finger. All right. So anyway, so she stayed out all night, but she was supposed to come home at, after a couple hours, but she ended up staying at her friend's house because, she just needed time for herself. I mean, again, you're married. There is no such thing as time for yourself. And you just got married. All right. Anyways. So, you know what? Allen is a pretty decent guy, and I really hope Allen gets enough courage, I should say, as the season goes on, whether they last that long, because we really don't know who's going to last through the season, who's part of the couple swap or whatever. But while they're together, okay, I really hope he lets Madison know, like, I'm not here for the mess. I told you on the honeymoon, I like my style. I do me. I'm handy. Maybe back in high school, I used to care what other people thought, but, it's all about me now. And so Madison to me is so self-centered about, well, I think you should look like this. You should dress like that. You should do all that. Girl, knock it off. And I want Allen to really put her really in her place when it comes to what he should be doing. Right. Because She's doing what she wants to do. Back at you. All right. So today they're going to go look first at Allen's place. And before they go, he's driving her to his place. He's like, oh yeah, come on, get in my hoopty. She's like, oh my God, what's that? Okay, so she's never heard the slang word hoopty. I guess there's a few people who may have never heard certain slang words, but whatever. I just take whatever Madison says as a grain of salt, just keep it moving. So Allen has a pretty decent car. He was just joking. Now, when they get to his house, Allen said, I believe he said he built the house himself. He did a lot of remodeling projects. He did tell her on the honeymoon, he's good with his hands. So Madison, worked with his hands, stuff like that. So, and then again, you never know. He might be good with his hands in other places too, girl. All right. But you talk yourself out of all of that with him anyways. So Madison's looking around. I'm not going to say impressed, but she's surprised at how well maintained and how it looks. I don't know what she was thinking, but she really, to me, was expecting or thinking that maybe Allen's place may have looked a little bit like David's place. So she was surprised with that, but whatever, right? Now, sorry if you hear that noise. I got the window open, so y'all just bear with me. And so, anyways, when they come back to the shared apartment, I do believe Allen cooks for Madison and she's enjoying the meal. See, Allen is a jack of all trades. He could cook, he remodels, he's good with his hands, he's doing all kind of stuff. He's a manly man, right? He may not be the man for her because he don't have that aesthetic, but Allen is doing the thing. Now, let's just jump to the experts part with them. Let's just cut to the chase, right? So when they talk to the experts, Madison reveals there's no chemistry, there's no romance, and then she gets to talk about his wardrobe, his aesthetic. Again, the same old, we're just going on a hamster wheel with her and Michelle. Over it already, right? And so to me, even with this season and seasons prior, no matter how many seasons you've watched Married at First Sight, whether it's your first one or been there from A1 day one, the experts tend to try to mold and shape couples to see each other's differences. And marriage is not an overnight thing. You have to grow in love, especially in this process. But sometimes I just don't think that they should be trying to talk someone into something when they can clearly see the body language isn't there, the way they talk, the way they focus, their attention isn't there, but that's their job. That's for the show, whatever, right? But then Allen jumps in. He's talking about how, he goes to the gym. He's been there for the last 4 days in a row because Madison talks about how she wants someone who's physically fit and different things like that. And hey, she didn't even notice Allen. Of course, you don't notice anything with somebody you're not really attracted to, especially since you're doing the single life. She don't care about Allen. She don't care about nothing she's saying. I just believe that Madison is there to go with the flow. And again, we'll have to see what happens and who is part of the couple swap. Something's telling me she could be part of the swap. I don't know with who, but we're going to find out. All right, let's move to Carla and Juan. So we learned that Carla doesn't have a place of her own. She has her things in a storage unit. She said her lease was up, and miraculously, all this happened around the same time that she was chosen for Married at First Sight. I'm like, it could happen. It was a coincidence, I guess, and sometimes people say it's not a coincidence. It's ordained. But on a previous season of Married at First Sight, it may have been Married at First Sight, New Orleans. I do believe that's what it was, New Orleans, and it was the person that was matched with Henry. If y'all remember what her name was, drop it in the comments, let me know. But she also had stuff in storage and she didn't really have a place to stay either. Okay. And we see how that didn't work out. She wasn't attracted to Henry. Henry wasn't attracted to her. And especially after we found out you don't have nowhere to go. All right. How does Married at First Sight? Let me not go down that rabbit hole. This would be a whole video that y'all don't have the time for because we ain't got it to do. All right. So anyways, so Carla is technically unhoused, right? And so, she's explained that situation to Juan. So when we go to Juan's house, first of all, Juan has a cousin living there. And again, when you have a family member or roommate living with you, because again, we've had this on previous seasons, and I understand that the experts match people based off of who they feel is correct, but sometimes they need to do a little bit more due diligence, because sometimes people, even in this case, it is his cousin, but sometimes people really aren't cousins or real roommates. They could be exes or whatever the case may be. But going around Juan's house, listen, Juan needs some organization. He needs someone to come to help him out and get stuff structured and organized. But hey, if that's how he lives, he wants to live carefree. But Juan does give a carefree vibe, and I can see why the experts didn't match them on that vision. But the vision was okay, speaking, but on paper, this is not it. Anyways, Carla was like, oh, yeah, your place could use a little bit more of a woman's touch. He's like, what would you put in here? She was like, everything. Girl, yeah, everything of mine, move yours out. You might get to keep a lamp, but the rest of the stuff, you 1-800-GOT-JUMP. That's just me. No promo. Anyways, so now when they talk to the experts, Carla tells the experts what happened during the honeymoon, where Juan said, oh, I forgot about you or hanging out with you when he was hanging out with David. And so Carla said that hurt her feelings, and I could see why, right? You just married me. You're hanging out with another couple or another person, David, from the show or whatever, but how do you forget about me? Like, we're supposed to be connecting. All right. So Juan says he understood the words that he chose. The words that came out my mouth came out wrong. And so he's, obviously apologized for that then and mentioned to the experts that he did. But he said that Carla, he also said he had the wrong choice of words, right? He said that Carla was passive aggressive and she shut down. Now, he did say that on the honeymoon, but I think any woman in that situation would have shut down when, you're trying to get to know your new spouse on the honeymoon. Like, you're going to say out loud, you forgot about me, as if I'm that literal stranger. So, hello, Juan, open your eyes. But anyways, that's just me. Anyways, Pastor Kel said that he noticed the affection with this couple in the beginning, and both Carla and Juan admitted that they've pulled back some. And I can see why. Carla's feelings are still hurt, and sometimes hard to get past that. And Juan, I think that maybe Carla's already in the friend zone. There's a bunch of friend zones or no zone around here. Okay. All right. So let's just jump to David and Michelle. So we're going to start with the experts conversation first with this couple. And so there's a clip of a matchmaking special when Dr. Pia comes to talk to Michelle before Michelle finds out she made the show, right? And Dr. Pia is asking, like, what do you find about the qualities of a man? And would it be okay if they lived at home with their family for a little while, but was, going to move out, once they got a wife or whatever, how she phrased it, right? And so, but at first Michelle was like, I don't know if I would like that. But when it was like, oh, they're willing to move out and, to start their life with a house with their wife, she's like, oh, that's fine. But this whole time, Michelle turned back let me put it like this. That was Michelle's representative talking to Dr. Pia, clearly, right? Because the things that Michelle said she was okay with, and she was like, oh, no, that's fine, oh, whatever, being like the person who's trying to be on the show to get a man because she has been single for 7 years and she wants to try this process to find her forever. Okay. But now she's on the actual show. She made the show, and now she's like, oh, my God, you live with your mom. You live with your family. You're 36 years old. I mean, listen. People live with their family members for different reasons. Could be health reasons, could be someone might need help financially. It could be anything. But as long as a person, this is my opinion, as long as a person is working, independent, all these different things and contributing, okay, it's not like the end of the world, and you can move out somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? As long as there's no other bigger picture where you have to be there again for like medical reasons or whatever like that. So, Dr. Pia and that Clip pulled her card. But Michelle's just like, okay. Yeah, I guess I was vague about what I wanted. No, girl, you weren't vague. You wrote down on whatever application you had to fill out. You were with the experts, and now you know that this is the real you, and you didn't use your representative. Okay, now who's looking bad? You've complained, Michelle, the whole entire time. Your body language is complaining. The words that's coming out your mouth is complaining. And I'm tired of your mouth and your Doublemint twins mouth. Like, for real, like, is making the show long dragging. Bring on the couple swap. Let's get to the juicy bits. But anyways, back to the experts. Now, Pastor Cal is giving Michelle a soft push to stay in the marriage, saying, well, if you have a job, would you just leave your job? Just different little scenarios about something. And again, in my opinion, I guess you could look at the bigger picture, what Pastor Cal was trying to say and Dr. Pierre was trying to say, but Michelle is not interested in the bigger picture. And when there's a couple or an individual on this show who they can see body language, attitude, the way that Michelle is responding to the questions of the experts, saying like she made a mistake and this is not for her, maybe her request was vague. If she's saying she's checked out what she did to David on the honeymoon and in front of y'all, let her walk away. Let her go. Because guess what? It's her energy. It's her energy. Why would you allow her or anybody else in the situation to bring the other person down, to be miserable for the rest of the time that they're on the show? That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? We've had other people walk away from this process and the expert is like, are you sure? Are you sure? I mean, again, these are strangers and I haven't got to know you enough. I don't want to. Let them go. Just let this part of the process, it's just over and done with. That's the part that I don't care for. Anyway, so let's jump to their living arrangement. So at first we see we see David's and Michelle's, but I'm gonna start with Michelle's. Michelle is so walking around, talking, feeling, and her energy is like she's Miss High and Mighty. You go to her place, it's a 1-bedroom, it's whatever it is, right? 1 bedroom, 2, whatever, 1.5, I don't know. It's giving college dorm room. Michelle makes it seem like she's got plush this, antiques this, Tiffany that, Van Gogh paintings, Picasso's, all this. That's the energy she's giving for her lifestyle. David was correct. This looks very simple. You got a plant here. You got a chair here when you work remote. They say you're the window lady because they can see you looking down on the walkway, the breezeway, whatever it is. You didn't have nothing in there. She says she's a minimalist. Well, she did or didn't. She's a minimalist. You don't have nothing in there, and it's not giving what you think is giving, Michelle. And when David said it's simple, the way her face dropped, okay. It's simple. So when we see David's place with his family, the outside, very nice home, very well kept, landscaped. Now, when we get down to the basement where David lives, it's the opposite dorm room effect, right? It's the dorm room where, he got his stuff, he got his bed, he's got a little table, the bathroom, his accessories down there. He's got kegs down there. I'm like, that definitely gives dorm room. The kegs gave it away for me. But this is my thing. Since David and his family are so close, especially David and his mom, David should have texted his mom, been like, Mom, can you clean it up, straighten up a little bit for me, take stuff upstairs? You know what I'm saying? But he weren't thinking like that because David is just like, this is me. Take it or leave it. And Michelle's looking around like, So when you have a date, like, what do? He's like, well, we go to a restaurant, but, she's like, well, what if you want to, come back here? He's like, you don't have no couch. He's like, well, we could go in the room, watch TV, whatever. I thought that was the answer. She knew exactly. Girl, what did you think? They would come back here and go wherever was comfortable. And if they did something, they did. If not, not. And so then there was a washer and dryer downstairs, and she's like, oh, so, where does everyone wash their clothes? He's like, my family washes their clothes when I'm not here, and, they don't invade my space because the door is locked or whatever. She's like, I'm like, girl, goodbye. All right, let's move to Eminem and Ike or Ikechi. So let's just start with the house visits. So we're going to go to Ike or Ikechi's house, and he's got, nice little taste for him. He's nice little decor. I would say he's a little bit OCD, which is fine. Have everything in place or whatever, and cool, right? He, to me, has the best place out the men. All right, whatever. So, there's really nothing really to add. What did he do? I forgot. Did he sing her a song or his guitar? Something. Anyways, so when we get to Eminem's house, she said in confessional while looking around, he was looking around, whatever. He said, men are intimidated by her home and her things. Some men are intimidated. And so when Ikechi comes in, he's like, oh, this is nice. Oh, you got upstage lighting. You got a karaoke machine. You got like different TVs, stuff like that. She's like, yeah, She's showing him the guest room. The guest room's really nice. She's describing everything, the things that she has in there. And, a karaoke machine, some people have that in their home. You know what I'm saying? Some people have different type of lighting in their home. May not be the same type of upscale recessed lighting. Could be like just the little lights, LED lights you put around, whatever the case may be. You live within your means. But when Ikechi said in confessional, he's like, oh, I'm so depressed. Your house is, your living room is bigger than my whole house. You're supposed to live within your means, and she has a profession where she can afford nicer things. I'm not saying that he can't, but that's not the right thing to me, the right attitude to have. Like, oh, I'm depressed. So that goes right into what she was saying about some men are intimidated by her home and her things. And at the same time, it gives me pause, like, so what type of men are you attracting that would be intimidated? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying people can't be, but I don't know. I'm going to let y'all have that in the comments. All right. So then when they get to talking with the experts, they say they've had in-depth conversations, and they have on the honeymoon. They've talked about kids. They talked about traveling. They talked about holidays and hosting dinner parties. So they have more conversations than really any of the couples that's on the show now, except for, I'll say they had the most. I was going to say Camille and Thomas, but no, they've had more in-depth conversations. But the thing is, there's no romantic connections, and the experts are like, why? Why isn't there anything romantic? Well, hello. He called her the homeboy or excuse me, not the homeboy, same thing. The homie on the honeymoon to the guys in the group session and then to her. So right there, friend zone. So that takes me back to, let's go back to him and look around her apartment. It gives a jealous vibe to me. She may make more money than you. Sometimes it happens. Okay. For some men and women, right? Sometimes the roles are reversed. But for the homie, to call her the homie and then to see her place and to say he's jealous, not depressed, that gives me jealousy and envy vibe. Like, why? That's not listen, it is strictly another friend zone. He meant every word he said. That's why there's no romantic connection. Doesn't matter how the experts tried to get him to give him suggestions, especially when he's in bed by 9. He's in bed by 9 because he's not trying to have no one. Hello. Sometimes the experts really make it seem like, I wonder why. Well, again, you meet people's representatives, people who really don't want to be married for real. Maybe they just want to go through the process. And on top of that, if you're recruiting people for the show, and this is his second time trying out, maybe there's a different agenda. That's just me. Anyways, Ike is over the suggestions of the experts, and frankly, so am I. All right, finally, Camille and Thomas's. So Thomas' place to me was ordinary. And based off his energy and his personality, I wasn't surprised. All the way down to his closet, I wasn't surprised. Okay. Camille says in confessional, she says that Thomas's swag came up to, she said, what came up to like a 4.5 or 5 because he had some Jordans in his closet. Now, I mentioned the 10-year age gap between Camille and Thomas last episode, I believe. And Camille wants to have, oh, and also the swag comment that Camille keeps talking about, right? So obviously Camille wants a rough and tumble type guy that she's used to. And Camille's age also starting to shine through with the comments she's making, you know? And I don't know. I do believe there are some cracks in there. And I do believe the cracks are coming from Camille. She's not giving Thomas really a lot of grace in his personality, just, I don't know, his aesthetic, all this stuff. Like, she is still stuck on her past. And to be honest, how long ago was it that she was dating? Because she really seemed like she has an ideal person in mind that she was really hoping she got, and she didn't. Now, let's just jump to the experts with them. When they talk to the experts, the thing that comes up is being around people who are African-American and people who aren't. Camille they're both biracial. Camille said she was growing up Black in African-American neighborhood, around Black and brown people, versus Thomas, who was around more Caucasians growing up. And Camille is having a hard time with Thomas because, in her words, again, the lack of swag. But you know what, though? People grow up different, and sometimes they are a product of their environment. And even Camille later on in the episode talks to her sister about that. But, you know, Camille says it feels like she married a Caucasian man, like a true white man, just by the way that Thomas is, his energy. But that's how he grew up. He even says he understands, like 2 episodes ago, that he's had like other relationships that, you know, women told him, you know, you don't have in Camille's word, the swag. So I just really want her to get off of that. And Thomas is definitely trying. I think if he had more self-esteem come shine through, I'm not saying it won't as the season goes along. I think a lot of that may be put to rest, but the question of intimacy came up, and Dr. Pepper always asks intimacy. Like, that's her first question. She seems to ask like everybody on all these seasons. And of course they have had intimacy. They hug, they kiss, and they're really the only ones that's even trying to have a connection. They also have conversations, but they haven't been as far as the way that Ikechi and Emem had conversations. And did I say this last week? If not, I'm gonna say it again. I think Ikechi is having conversations like an interview. He's interviewing Emem for like a book or something that he's writing or is working on, because it's giving interview questions every single time. Nobody wants to be interviewed on dates, and definitely not when you're married. Okay, he needs to get past that. And Camille needs to get past this swag thing. Nobody wants to hear this. And do you really think, Camille, that Thomas wants to hear like, oh my God, you know, your swag is up or your swag is not up, or how you brush your teeth and the things you say and all this and that? That ish gets old real quick. Matter of fact, for me, the viewer watching it, it's already old already. And we haven't even seen hardly any interaction yet. Anyways, I definitely think that Camille needs to recognize that you can't change how someone grew up. The point is, are they ready to grow with you? That's the point she definitely needs to take, because you know what? This is the only couple right now that I feel is the one who could possibly make it through the season and, you know, grow together. But does she want to grow with him and vice versa? Like I said, I'll say it again. You can't change how someone grew up. The point is, are they ready to grow with you? So anyways, that was really the end of the episode. It was a filler. It didn't give a whole lot. Again, bring on the couple swap so we can have something juicy to talk about. Okay, because otherwise it's dry and dragging because more than half the couples don't like each other, and we need some excitement around here. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave me your comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And like the video with your thumbs up, please. And again, I will see you next week in the next video. Until then, everyone, have a good evening and live simply. Be grateful.